Manscaped are the new sponsors of My Best 11 podcast. These guys are absolutely awesome. Pinged this across to myself and Marv not that long ago. And look at this package. The biggest thing in here and the most important thing is this. This razor is amazing. I mean, just look at it. The lawnmower. Trimming is perfect. Look at it. Look at the light. How awesome is that? So if you're struggling to see exactly where you're going, can't quite get exactly where you need to be, the light is perfect. So the Lawnmower 3.0 with your manual comes inside the box. The best bit, we've got some undies in here, boxers, briefs, jocks, depends on where you live in the world. That's what they're called there. We've also got across here, we've got ball toner in a beautiful spray. They reckon use this once a week, maybe a little bit more recently. It's up to you. Absolutely brilliant in there. And then they have the ball deodorant. Can't quite get it out right now, but the ball deodorant in there. I didn't even know they made this stuff. This is absolutely incredible. And I think this is going to be a fantastic partnership that we have with these guys. And then underneath here, absolutely beautiful, beautiful bag to stick your stuff in and to take with you whenever you go away on holiday. Great toiletries bag in there. So that's the first look. Myself and Marv will have a proper look at all this over the coming weeks as we unpack all this. But we'd like to say thanks so much to the guys over at Manscaped. And Manscaped, I'm in Australia. Manscaped sent across to Marv, based in the US, but they are across the world now. And look out on our social media feed for some fantastic offers. And of course, if you want to get 20% off and free delivery, and you'll support the podcast, use the code MyBest11Pod inside there, inside the promo code, and you'll get 20% off whatever you want. So, welcome to another episode of My Best 11 podcast. Today we are joined by Matthew Taylor, or Matty Taylor, as a lot of people at Marv call him all the time. So, Matthew Taylor spent a lot of time, his career at Luton, started his career coming through the youth ranks at Luton, then had a big money transfer across to Harry Redknapp over at Portsmouth, spent time at Bolton, West Ham, Burnley, and Northampton, and managed to get a few England under-21 caps and caretaker manager, which I wasn't aware of, for a 1 or 2 games at Swindon, and is currently the under-18 coach at Tottenham. Matty, how are you?
I'm okay, mate. You?
Yeah, it's good. How does it feel for me to rattle through all of that? Does it feel like I know it doesn't do it justice, but
no, it seems a long time ago, to be honest. It's you know, the start of my career and how it went so quickly. It's just, I think probably in 3 or 4 years' time, when I've really had time to sit back and look at it, I'll probably appreciate it a bit more. But what I will say is that Luton was the perfect start for me in terms of everything about the club at the time. Brilliant.
Fantastic. Was it old heads like Marv that helped you through? Hello, Marv. How are you?
I'm good, Andrew. Thank you. Look at Benjamin Button here. Actually, and for those who obviously can't see and are listening to the podcast, it's Benjamin Button, Andrew. He looks so in mint condition. He is unreal. You good, Tails?
You tell my missus that, please, Marv. I'm good, mate. Thank you. Yeah, I'm a bit hoarse because we've had a couple of games this week, and I tend to shout every day in training and the games, but other than that, I'm good.
Excellent.
Awesome. So what we'll do is we'll get going, and what we do, those people who haven't listened to the podcast before, is we go through basically your best 11 team that you have ever set foot on a park with. So that includes youth players, it includes England under 21 players, all the way through your career, but you have to have set foot on a pitch with them at some point. So first off, we always start with, and it's even more interesting now you're into management. What's your formation and what
helps you create the formation for this team? Was it down to the players that you had to fit in, or was it down? Or are you more of a traditionalist kind of, no, they have to fit into my system?
No, it was the players. When I went through it, it was 100% the players. When I looked at the names, I thought, I can't leave him out. There's no way I can leave him out. But how am I going to fit him in? So, yeah, when I sat down and had a look at it, it was purely and simply the players. I would say you'd probably want to play against my team because we're not going to be overly defensive, because some of the players that are in there had, let's just say, an eye for a goal. So, yeah, I would say the back three are gonna get exposed at times if this team was to take the pitch now.
Back three. So what is the formation, Tels?
I've gone 3-4-2-1, Marv.
3-4-2-1.
Yeah, I had to get everyone on the pitch in some way or another. So yeah, 3-4-2-1. Not suggesting that that's the formation that I would play, but no, it would be all right. Hopefully. Fortunately, it's all fictional, Marv, so we've not got to play a game with this 11.
And how long did it take you to do this?
Probably a good hour.
Nice trip down memory lane, was it? A lovely trip down memory lane?
I spent a bit of time on Wikipedia, checking, because I think, Marv, you'll probably agree with this, that you do play with so many players over the period of your career that sometimes maybe names would slip. So yeah, I spent a bit of time on Wikipedia yesterday. Surprised myself at how many players and good players and very good players I've played with and been fortunate enough to play with. But it was tough to pick, most definitely. I've tried to keep it to club football as opposed to under 21 football or any representative football that I played. So I've tried to keep it with guys that I most definitely played a lot of football with.
Excellent.
So we'll get going then. I'm assuming you do have a goalkeeper. You said you were attacking, but I'm assuming there's a goalkeeper in there somewhere.
Yeah,
so Andrew
no.
and I, Andrew and I try and like to guess. So try and give us some clues without actually revealing their name, sort of thing.
Okay. Ex-England international goalkeeper. Are you guessing yet or not? Or do you want me to keep going?
I think you can talk a little bit more about him. What made him special, and like shot stopper, crossing, or kicking, or whatever.
Best goalkeeper I ever played with, Marvin. He made me so much better because every day after training, I would stay out and do shooting with him. And I kid you not, if you didn't put it in the corners and you didn't put it in the top corner, he'd save everything. Great guy, very intelligent. Should give it away for you.
I think I've got it. I think I've got it.
Yeah, I assume I've got it as well.
West Ham?
No.
Oh, I was going to go Portsmouth.
I played with him at Portsmouth. Yeah, that's right.
England international.
Yeah. I assume it's David Seaman, isn't it?
David Seaman. I'm not that old.
Didn't Seaman go to Portsmouth?
David James.
David James. That's what I meant.
Mark,
David James. That's what I don't know why I said David Seaman. I don't know why I said
David Seaman.
Seaman, he was around at the start of your career. I don't know why I said Seaman. I meant David James.
Whoa. Whose career are you talking now? Are you talking to me or are you talking to Tails? Are you talking to?
Tails he was around till 2002, wasn't he? Three?
Yeah. I remember playing against him. So for Arsenal while I was at Portsmouth, David Seaman, but I didn't play with him.
So David James.
Yeah, he was brilliant. JMO when he came into Portsmouth, I just remember the first time I saw him, and I saw him in the gym, and the work that he did and the shape that he was in for his age. He was probably mid-30s, and the longevity he'd had in his career. You never had a conversation with JMO, you always had a debate. That's one thing I do remember. He was always full of wisdom. I remember he drove a car, and instead of filling it with diesel or petrol, he had it converted to rapeseed oil because he lived down in the countryside in Devon, and he used to spend a lot of time in the car. So he had his car converted. But in terms of what he did on the pitch, I mean, phenomenal goalkeeper. He was big on the mental side of it. So he would spend a lot of time visualising, and you'd quite often see him on the pitch before a game, just going through and making saves, but there's no ball there. I mean, we used to think he was crazy, but in terms of keeping the ball out of the net and doing his job, he was phenomenal. And I'd say without a shadow of a doubt, and it was difficult, but he was the best goalkeeper that I ever played with by a good margin.
He's my age, isn't he? Similar to me, isn't he? I think. David
Not
James.
that old, Marv. No, it's not that old, mate.
Well, the reason I say that,
He's not 50 yet.
Did you not?
No, I didn't think. Oh, don't ask me. Anyway, I'm the wrong person.
I mean, the reason I say that is because he played for that yellow team down the road when I was coming through, and we had England like trials or whatever you want to call it. And I can remember going on the train from Luton up to, I think it was at Lilleshall, and there was a load of us. There was me, a couple of other like Luton lads, and he was on the train, and I'm thinking, is he my age? And that's what I'm trying to think now. Is it because it obviously
it was probably from under 11s up to under 18s, Marv, and you were the under 18s, and he was going for the under 11s trial.
He's a big boy, though. He's a big boy.
He might have been playing up.
But fantastic goalkeeper. They all say they're a bit crazy, don't they, Marv? The best ones.
Yes.
He was definitely a little bit crazy.
Well,
so, I mean, did you ever talk about his time? Obviously, you play with him at Portsmouth, and you'd have played with him during that, particularly that Euro 2004 time when he made a couple of mistakes at the end of France game, off the top of my head. Did he ever talk about those type of things, or any other mistakes he made? Did it rattle him, or did he move on pretty quickly?
I think so. I think as a goalkeeper, being able to deal with disappointment, being able to deal with a mistake is probably the hardest thing, because as an outfield player, as a striker, you make a mistake, miss a chance, or have an error, you've normally got one of your teammates to bail you out. And I think for a goalkeeper, he was just so mentally strong. And that's why I say that he used to go through this routine where he'd visualize everything. But I think that was part of his process. That was part of the fact that, yes, he knew he was going to make mistakes. I mean, show me now a goalkeeper, even the best goalkeeper in history, hasn't made a mistake, and we'd have quite a good discussion and argument about it. But no, J-Mo was so strong mentally, it was ridiculous. And I think probably partly because by the time I played with him, he'd pretty much been through everything, hadn't he? I mean, I remember the white suits at Liverpool at the cup final, and, you know, all the stick he got from that. And he'd played at the top level for years before I got to play with him. And I think he probably got used to that side of the game, and the press maybe having a little pop at him because he made a mistake. It was just part and parcel of football, I think, for him.
Yeah. No, definitely. And I think also he's a Luton fan.
He ended up at Luton, didn't he? On the coaching side, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he's a Luton fan. Random thing. So, three at the back.
Yes.
Let's go. Whichever way you like.
So, right-hand side first. England international, recently retired from international football. Great lad, fantastic. He achieved so much in the game. Where I played with him, he left, and still playing now in the Premier League. Where I was playing, he left to go to a big club for quite a nominal fee at the time, considering what he went on to achieve with that football club.
Yep.
Go on, Andrew.
Any idea?
Come on, Marv. It's half past 5 in the morning.
I haven't got a Scooby Doo.
I'm going to guess. Did you play with Gary Cahill?
I did, yes.
Yeah. The Bolton.
I did, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Before he went to Chelsea, straight from he left from Chelsea, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can't remember what the fee was they paid for him, but I don't think it was massive. I mean, we paid £5 million for him, and he'd only played probably, I don't know whether it was a handful of games at Villa at the time, but he hadn't played a huge amount of football. And then he came in to us, and he was just an all-round complete defender. He was good on the ball. Some of the goals he used to score in training in five-a-side, John, it's ridiculous. His feet were,
better than mine?
Strikers. Definitely, but I can't remember yours, Marv.
Neither can Marv.
I was a world beater in training. Absolute world beater.
You weren't too bad in games, Marv. I'll give you that.
So what did Cahill do there for you?
Yeah.
Did he give you a bit more confidence? Did he boss you around? Obviously, because it was your third proper club.
Not necessarily. He didn't boss me around. I think what Gary was a player that when he came into Bolton, he probably used the football club as a stepping stone, but he did that in the right way, because he came in and performed and made sure that he added value to the team. But he also it gave him an opportunity to play week in, week out in the Premier League, and really probably try and establish himself at that level, and also show everybody what his identity was and what it is. And obviously, one of the big boys at the time, and still are, came knocking in Chelsea and signed him. And you look at his record there, what he's gone on to win in terms of titles, and I think it's just phenomenal.
Champions League, maybe?
Yeah.
Not even won Champions League with him.
Europa League, Champions League. But you know what the best thing about him is? He's just a normal guy. And that is a testament to him and his family and his wife. And that's my outstanding memory from Gaz. And I've had a couple of conversations with him during the lockdown period over here. He's helped me out with some coaching stuff. He's been fantastic, and what a player.
No, definitely. Where did you play with him? Were you playing at left back at the time or left midfield?
I think I was playing left midfield at the time. I think I probably played a few games at left back, or I just remember in that Bolton team, Megson just used to say "tails run." Okay, that's what he used to do.
I think most managers you played under used to say "tails run," because I mean, one of the biggest things for me, Andrew, when he obviously came onto the scene, and we'll get into his chubbiness or whatever Nick Owen was talking about later on, but one of the things for me, what stood out for me, Dale, was your pace. His energy and his pace was like electric. It
wasn't the pace, Marv. It wasn't the pace. I can tell you that. I used to be no. I was never quick. It used to take me a while to get to top speed. Yeah, but quick against you. I would have been quick against you, Marv. Right?
You're doing yourself disjustice now. No, honestly,
no.
trust
But
me.
I was never quick. But what I was is, I'd have been 15, nearly 16, right? And the school entered me into the county 800-metre race. Never run 800 metres in my life. And the teacher said to me, as part of your GCSE PE, I want you to take part in this. I said, okay, no worries. And I just started to kind of shoot up, right? So I was just starting to kind of grow and have that growth spurt. And I ran it, and I won it by about 250 metres. And the time, I got under 2 minutes at the time. And it was just at that point, I kind of thought, right, well, if that's something I'm going to be good at, and something I am good at, and a strength of mine, then that's something that has got to take me past somebody else in terms of, did they have more ability than me? Maybe, yeah. But I tell you what, I was going to work harder than them and be more value to the team than they would be. 100%. That is 100% Marv true.
So this is at the age of 15.
15, 16, yeah. Yeah.
And you left Oxford at 14 for being chubby.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I had my sort of my growth spurt at sort of 15 and a half, between 15 and 16, and shot up and managed to get rid of the chubbiness under my armpits, basically. So the left foot was still there. It's just I couldn't move.
That
and then
was
all
the
of a
other
sudden
thing.
I started to be able to move and had the left foot.
That's the other thing I was going to come on to, because I mean, I don't know if you've listened to Carl Emberson's episode. He said Tails used to try and hit these shots in training and lining himself up, and Embo goes, I'm thinking, you're not going to score from there, son. You're not going to score from there, son. And you've hit it, and it's literally moved in the air, and he's gone, how the hell has that got in? And that was it. It was your left foot. It was a case of when he used to line the shot up, I'm thinking, it's got a real great chance of going in, even if it was from 20, 25 yards. And I used to love that about him. He used to take the most ridiculous shots, but as we all saw later on in his career in the Premiership, that's
Mark,
why.
did you play in that game where I scored my first goal?
Who was that against?
Kenilworth Road.
Who was that against?
I want to say, I want to say some. I want to say no. It wasn't my first game. It was my first goal.
Sorry,
I want to say
goal.
Wrexham, or I can't remember, Marv. But
don't tell me it was a tap in.
No. It came out to the edge of the box, and I smashed it into the roof of the net. That's why I was saying I can't remember who it was against.
Right.
I remember quite a few of the boys jumping on me at the time, and me going mad because I was just 17. So,
awesome. I mean, you scored what arguably was. Did you win the goal of the season that year for when you hit it from 50 foot? Oh, no. Tall point.
I didn't even win goal of the month.
What?
'Cause
You hit it from about
Paul
45
no,
out.
no. Yeah, but Paul Scholes
Which
won
one are
goal of
you
the month.
talking about, though, Andrew? This is the point. Which one are you talking about?
Oh, there was one in particular when you were at was it Portsmouth or was it Bolton? When
Was
you
it
hit
home or away? Would it have been a volley or a half volley?
it was the volley.
Yeah, I didn't even win goal of the month for that because
It
Paul
was from about
Scholes.
50 yards out.
Yeah, no, you want to see the goal that Scholes scored. I mean, if you're going to lose to somebody a goal of the month, you're going to lose to that man who's a legend. So the ball, Beckham pinged it from a corner outside the edge of the box. He's volleyed it on the outside of his right foot into the top corner, opposite top corner. I mean, sometimes you just got to hold your hands up.
Yep.
I was quite happy losing to him. Don't worry about that.
Because that's a distinctive memory for a lot of fans, for a hell of a lot of fans as well, is that goal. Sorry, we digress. Centre backs. Yep. Let's keep going.
Middle of the back three is a guy that achieved pretty much everything domestically, was a member of the golden generation, really fantastic person, fantastic guy. He made, quite possibly at the time, before I played with him, one of the most talked about transfers from one team in London to another. And phenomenal footballer, phenomenal player. You got that?
Got Marv.
Yep. Sol Campbell.
Yes, Marv, yeah. Brilliant. He was, Sol was so professional, it was ridiculous. So me as I've been 23, 24, to see the level of professionalism that he had and what he'd achieved in his career and just the level of detail he went into preparing himself. Now, Sol was very focused on what he had to do to get himself in the right frame of mind and physically in the right condition, and he was brilliant. To play with him, do you know what it was? So he was very good as a defender, but he was just an unbelievable talker and organizer. And I think for me at that time, when being at that age, he used to help me out so much. So it was it was a privilege to play with him. But ironically, if you watch the goal that we were just talking about against Everton for Portsmouth, for some reason, I've never been good in the middle of midfield. I came into the middle of midfield and he passed me the ball through, and it gone under my foot, and my first touch was so bad. If you watch it, the good thing is because you smash it in, no one talks about this. It's gone under my foot. Kanu has popped it up somehow in a tackle, and it's just gone there, and I've hit it, and the rest is history. But Sol, remember, I spoke to him after the game. He went, "How bad was your touch, Tails?" I said, "I know, Sol." So I know, big man. How bad was it? So the finish weren't that bad, was it? So it was all right. So I got away with it. Nobody spoke about how bad my touch was.
It comes across, I mean, as a real quiet and serious guy. But I mean, what was he like in the dressing room? Did he? You know what I was like, Tails. I mean, I usually like a laugh and a joke, but I was serious when the game come about. But Sol Campbell he comes across as being very like straight and to the point.
No, I think my memories of Sol and J-Mo would have some interesting conversations. I mean, and debates there, because the two of them were good friends and are good friends and played with each other at international level for a long time and knew each other inside and out. They knew how to have a debate and a conversation. But Sol was just a normal teammate, Marv. There was nothing, considering what he'd achieved, considering the levels he had played at, and the clubs he had played at. You didn't see that he would act that way. He had an aura about him, don't get me wrong, 100%, because of who he is. So there was most definitely that. But I think he's probably shown you now by going to Macclesfield for his first job, Marv, in management, that he's quite happy to muck in and do the hard graft. So, you know, from a personal point of view, really good luck to him on that side with the management. But as a teammate, he was good. He was brilliant for us and the young boys. You know, he'd tell you if you're out of line, but also, you know, give you a pat on the back if you'd done something well. He also detached my retina. He also detached my retina, yeah. I went up for a header in a corner to make you laugh. So the ball's come over defensive corner. I've gone up, headed it away. The big man's come behind me, well up the back of my head. Didn't think anything of it. Just went in, and I remember going into training the next day, and I said to the physio, "I've got a little bit of blurred vision." Went, oh, okay, no worries. We'll send you to see a specialist. Tells, okay, no worries. We want to put you through the MRI scan. And they say, oh yeah, you might have got a slight detached retina. Could you tell me how that happened? I said, well, that's probably what happens when you get hit in the back of the head by Sol Campbell. But fortunately, it didn't have any lasting damage. Fortunately, Marv. But yeah, that's my claim to fame where Sol's concerned.
So it was pretty rough and tumble then. So when you're at Portsmouth, they let a lot of stuff go. It wasn't kind of soft tackling. It was, do you think, obviously you went there when Harry was there.
Yeah, he was in my team. That's the problem, Andrew. And he's still done it to me. That's the problem.
He's that much of a competitor.
Well, yeah. He probably couldn't believe it. I've managed to jump that high and head it. He thought, oh, Tails will miss this one at the near post again. I better go and bail him out.
What was Harry like in the dressing room, or in that? How did he manage that team? I'm intrigued by kind of, obviously you worked under some big personalities that aren't around, unfortunately, in football anymore. People like Joe Kinnear and Harry Redknapp and those type of guys. What was Redknapp like? Pretty chilled out. Leave it all to Joe Jordan.
All right. You so didn't do a huge amount of the coaching. I think where Harry would quite happily tell you that he trusted and relied on his coaches. So at the time, Joe Jordan and Kevin Bond were with him. Ironically, when I signed originally for Portsmouth, so you had Harry and Jim. So Jim Smith, the late Jim Smith, he was alongside him. So they were co-managers, if you like. To say I learned nothing from them would be a complete lie, because you learned everything from them, because at the time the guys had been there, seen it and done it. They had complete confidence in you as players. What they did for me and what Harry was brilliant at was just saying the right things to you at the right time. And just, as I say, you'd see him on a training pitch, but he would never take training. You just stood there watching it. On a Friday or a Thursday when you did the team shape, he would come out and do a little bit. But that wasn't what he was there for. That wasn't his speciality. His speciality was first and foremost assembling teams, maybe, and giving players a chance that probably other people would have dismissed. He did it on numerous occasions, and he was a master at it. The blend of youth, the blend of power, speed, exuberance, mixed with that experience, he was brilliant at it. I mean, you look at some of the teams that he compiled, he was unbelievable. But in the dressing room, it was just the way he used to talk to you. Some people would need a kick up the backside, 100%. He knew who they were. Others needed a cuddle. Others needed to be dug out properly, and he'd do it. He was a master, and I was very lucky to play for him, without a shadow of a doubt.
Excellent. It sounds. I've always been intrigued by how he did it, because he had some great times at Bournemouth, then West Ham, and obviously were you part of the Portsmouth team that he took to Europe?
No, I left that January. I was just at a stage in my career where I'd been there 6.5 years, and I probably wasn't playing as much football as I'd liked. And the thing for me is that because, Marv, you know this, I got into the team at 17, right? And yeah. I played for 3 seasons, Marv. By the age of 20, I played 150 games. So the last thing I wanted to do was sit somewhere and watch. I'd have rather taken a downward step or a sideward step and gone and play football, because I was so lucky at such a young age to play and to learn. You talk about coaching, right? And so in my current role, you talk a lot about it. We talk about helping kids, but what you don't understand is how invaluable, and I'm not saying this, Marv, you senior pros were to me, because your coaches on the pitch, you help to organise. As a young player, I would watch how you guys do things and copy it, because that's what we all do, right? They do things correctly. So we talk about a huge amount about, well, we've got to have the best coaches, but it's actually the players that you learn from just as much as the coaches. It for me was invaluable, just being on the training pitch day in, day out. Learning to shout at people, Marvin, that was one of the biggest things. Because as a 17-year-old, you're never going to shout at anyone, are you? And it was,
no.
But you wouldn't get by in football at that time in League One, the equivalent of League One, which we were in, if you didn't shout at each other and if you didn't talk and organise. And that was something that I learned most definitely from you guys and watching you and training with you, that it was all right to shout at each other. It didn't mean you didn't like them. You were just trying to win and help each other. No, it was all right. It was okay. And if you ever falling out, that's all right. It's not a problem, because we're all part of the team.
And I mean, we really should be moving on. But like you're right. But you had a personality. And if you didn't have a personality, Dels, like I'm not just talking about you, but anyone in general coming into that team or into that squad, you're done. You're done. You have to have something about you, right? And you earn the respect as a 17-year-old, as you want to call it, coming into that team by like working hard, right? Running around, doing your bit for the team. If you come in and you was like, you know what, I've got a great left foot, I'm just going to hit it from here and not run around. Trust me, we would have been all over you. You know that anyway. But you worked hard. You earned our respect. So fair play to you.
Did all right, yeah. Other centre half.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's keep going.
So French played for Manchester City. Also, I played with him at Portsmouth. He is no Googling either of you two, by the way.
I've got it.
Okay, go on then, Andrew. Go on then.
No, I want to see Marv. I want to see Marv.
Keep going. Andrew's on fire this time of morning. Wow.
Yeah. He so much pace. He was quick. He could read the game.
Yeah.
He was a fantastic person. He left. I think he ended up playing for Bournemouth. He was extremely talented. Could score a goal as well, by the way. Could score a goal. But he was one of the rarities where he was a left-sided centre-half that could score a goal, Marv.
Andrew. Yeah, listen, that's got to spread in my head, Tails. You know why? Because it's in my head. Because I'm both-footed. I use left and right. I'm not just... I'm two-footed, Tails.
I assume it's Sylvain Distin.
That's correct, it is, yeah.
Well done.
Yeah, he was so unassuming, like unassuming off the pitch, unassuming on it. But when I tell you, we played games with Sol and Sylvain at the back, and it was just, I mean, the attacking team didn't stand a chance, really. And it helped that at the time, if I was playing left back, Sylvain was on my side. And probably defending was never my strong point. And I just remember Sylvain saying to me, Tails, don't worry. If it goes over your head, I'll get it. Don't worry. And 9 times out of 10, he just used to get there because he was so quick and bail me out. So, fantastic footballer.
Nice, awesome.
Decent back three there.
See why I've had to play a back three now, Marv?
Decent, yeah, decent.
But they're all, I reckon they're actually all unassuming, I'd say old school centre backs, but do you know what I mean when I say that? I know Distin can play a bit. I know obviously Cahill. They all can play a bit. There's a reason why they play at the top level. But in terms of fancy footing and things like that, they're not. They're the unassuming centre backs. I think if you were to watch them. Yeah, exactly. Awesome. So what we'll do is we'll pause here for a break before we come back and hear about the majority of Matty Taylor's team, which is in attack.
Support for My Best 11 Pod is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming and hygiene. Manscaped is taking the world and is now available in all of Europe, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. Manscaped is trusted by 2 million men worldwide. Join the movement for all your below-the-waist grooming needs. So you can get 20% off and a free shipping with the code MyBest11Pod at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. And use the code of MyBest11Pod. Your balls will thank you for it.
Fantastic. Okay, so we are back now for the second part in the midfield and up front for Matthew Taylor. So far, we've got in goal David James, Gary Cahill, Sol Campbell, and Sylvain Distin. So we're then going to go across to the 4 midfielders, and then he's gone 3-4-1-2, was it? 1-2.
3-4-2-1.
3-4-2-1. Okay, so let's keep going. Where we'll start off on either side of the wing, whichever one you want to do, left or right, and you are allowed to put yourself in.
You can put yourself in if you want.
Don't be silly. I didn't. No chance. These guys.
Marv is the only person who's put himself in. Are you surprised to hear that, mate?
Doesn't surprise me, no.
I put myself in midfield and up front. I put myself in 3 times. 3 times.
So this guy, left foot of an absolute wizard, played on. I was very lucky to play with him my first season in the Premier League, and could score an outrageous goal. And I was on the pitch on numerous occasions when he did. One of the coolest men you want to meet. I saw a picture of him not long ago playing in the Legends, and I just looked at him and he just thought, how cool are you? If only I had an ounce of that coolness. I thought, oh my God, I looked at him and I thought, wow.
Did he play? Oh, beard. Did he play?
Beard.
Oh, no. Oh.
He didn't have a beard when he played. He had a beard when I saw him. Played at Liverpool.
Oh, that's taken my idea.
Played at Liverpool, played at Villa.
Liverpool. I thought I was going to go Ginola. Do you want me to give you?
No.
You know, did he not play with Ginola?
No, I did not. Do you want me to give you the nationality?
What? Yes, I was going to say, is he hold on.
Czech Republic. Yeah.
It's not. No, he's not. I was going to say.
He was part of the team in the white suits for the cup final for Liverpool. He was one of the Spice Boys. I think that's what they were called.
Oh.
Come on, Marv, it's there.
It is.
You can see him now, can't you? You can see why I said he's cool.
Yes, you stop. Just. Well, you've done me in now, Tails. Was it?
Got in, Tails. Tell us who it is.
I'm gonna.
Patrick Berger.
Should have got that.
Yeah. It's on the tip of your tongue, Marv.
Patrick
Berger. What? Played a game. I think we were playing. I think it was Charlton. Ball got played into him in midfield. He flicked up on the outside of his left foot, spun, smashed it in the top corner from about 30 yards out, and just looked. I was playing. I just couldn't believe it. So I just went wild and looked at him. But again, what a nice man. What a nice guy. What he brought every day to training and the games was just absolute professionalism in everything he did. And then to go and be able to share a pitch with him. And at the time when we got promoted, first of all, from Portsmouth to the Premier League, I was injured for the first couple of months of that season. I just remember watching him thinking, how the bloody hell am I going to get him out of the team? And basically, I ended up not getting him out of the team. I had to get somebody else out of the team to play in the team with him. But he was phenomenal talent, and his left foot was a joke. I'd always taken all the set plays I'd ever played, and then Patrick's in the team, and I was quite happy to let him take everything because he was better than I was. His delivery and everything. So yes, phenomenal talent, and again had an unbelievable career. So privileged to share a pitch with him.
So again, like you just said, I mean, I should have got him and Liverpool and fantastic career. A player of that quality, Tails, is that quality seen every day in training, or was it a case of, well, you know what, I don't fancy it today, or it was like a case of, oh, do you know what, I'll turn it on today, and then it's like in and out, or was it like every day you'd be like, whoa?
Yeah, every day, Marv. I've never played for a football club professionally that you can afford to carry someone who doesn't bring it every day. And I've never played, with all due respect to any player that I've played with, that has been good enough to turn it on, because the habits that you exude on a daily basis, that's the work. The easy part's the games if you do it right in the week, because all you're doing is trying to replicate what you've done every day in training. So that's the easy part for me.
Right.
But every single day he'd bring it.
But you don't remember John Louis Valois then?
Yeah, but that's what I think. Louis was. So John was. He had a great left foot.
It was anything, Tails. Come on, listen. Stop, sit on the fence. It was just the games he used to turn it on. You know that as well as I do.
No. What I'm saying is he had a great left foot. He didn't give a damn about anything else other than scoring goals. That was all I could say about him. But with all due respect, Marv, and I mean this, that's why he was playing with us at that time, at that level. He had the ability to play higher, but he didn't do it every day, did he? That's why he was with us.
That's true.
And that's why he was with us in League One at the time, or if it was League Two.
Yeah, you're right. To be fair.
So, Patrick, getting back to Patrick Berger then, what was he like? Obviously, he was one of these players that came in the mid-90s, one of the first foreign players really in the Premier League. Was he one of the boys down the pub, or was he much more one of the thinkers of the foreign
No,
players.
he wasn't. No, Patrick wasn't. I think we didn't have a big drinking culture, to be honest. Anyway, so Patrick wasn't one of those types of guys. I mean, if we went out for dinner or went out with the partners and stuff, Patrick would be there. But he lived down on the south coast. I think he enjoyed being in that part of England because it's beautiful. But I just remember him being just superb at everything he did. I can't just every day, and that's from stupid, but that's from how he looked every day with his long flowing hair to then how he performed on the training pitch. Right, he was just to how he played. He was just superb at everything. That's my lasting memory of Patrick Berger.
How beautiful the man he was when he glided down the wing.
You know, but I talk about him. I suppose I sound like a football fan, but at times that's what it felt like. It was just, and it helps because he was left-footed, and I think as a kid and probably as a young player, you look up to players that you want to try and emulate, and he was definitely one of them.
Oh, definitely. Right-hand side. Let's go to right.
Yep. Ex-England international, recently retired. Had the pleasure of playing in a couple of teams with him, one being the under-21s, but that was only one game, I think, or one camp. So I'm not counting him for that. I played with him at Portsmouth again. He big money moves. He's won the Premier League. He's played for two of the biggest clubs in the country. He's on TalkSport a lot now, but obviously that will mean nothing to you guys. And he's on Sky Sports a lot now because neither of you two are in this country. So we're on this side of the.
I do listen to TalkSport, mind you, Tells. I do listen to it.
He's very knowledgeable in terms of life and football. Comes across really well now. Quite a quiet guy again, but in terms of what he achieved, he started his career at West Ham. Does that give you a chance, Marv?
West Ham, right winger.
No, he's not a winger. I'm playing him on the right.
Oh, okay.
So started his career at West Ham. I think from West Ham he went to Chelsea. From Chelsea, I think he went up to Liverpool.
Oh, that's thrown me then. I was going to go Frank Lampard.
Portsmouth might be in there in between that. I'm not sure. But in terms of... So predominantly played as a right back.
Oh.
But you could play him. This is what I mean. I had to get him in my team.
Yeah, I see.
Predominantly played as a right back, but going forward was probably his strength.
Oh, Glenn Johnson?
Yes, it is Glenn Johnson.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well done, Andrew. Well dug out, Andrew. Well dug out.
From nowhere.
Marv, will you get off Andrew's back, please? He's carrying you, Marv, at the moment.
Listen, it's about time he started coming good. I mean,
shut up.
What? Come on. It is.
Shut up. My back, I need to get a massage after every single one of these episodes because my back hurts, Marv.
I have to admit,
Jono was brilliant.
Yeah? What's he?
He was brilliant.
He's a good boy.
Yeah, he was, because at the time he came to us, I think I was surprised that we managed to get him at the time. Because I think we signed him from Chelsea, I think. And Harry worked his magic and managed to get him through the door. And then he was current England international at the time, and he was one of the big names in the country, and we've managed to persuade him to come to Portsmouth. Power was ridiculous, just his power in everything. Now, I'm not talking about kicking the ball. I'm just power in the tackle. He was powerful, getting away from people. Humble guy, though. Really humble guy. Just scored a lot of goals as well. He used to score a lot of goals in training. And I remember one of the goals he scored, he kind of chested it up here and then volleyed it with his left foot. And what a player he was, by the way. And as I say, he had a phenomenal career, by the way. Phenomenal career.
What would he give you at right midfield then instead of right back? I mean, you could have realistically played a back four then with Glenn Johnson in the back four.
I couldn't have, because I can't play Sylvan left back because that's doing him a disservice. He's too good for that. He's a centre half. He's 6'3", 6'4", and I don't ever want to run into him and him to say to me, "Tails, I heard that My Best 11 podcast and him to get me in a headlock." So there's no way I could play him left back.
You're the gaffer. You're the gaffer. He plays where you tell him to play, right?
Yeah. That's not modern day football now, Marv. Come on. Did you not see that Chelsea?
What happened to Glenn Johnson then? Because I mean, he went to Liverpool And I wouldn't say his career kind of petered out. Now he had quite a few injuries, but then he just really struggled from there a lot, hasn't he? Since I mean, Trent Alexander-Arnold kind of came in.
Yeah, but he went to Stoke, and I think, Marv, it'd be interesting to get your thoughts on this. But as you get older, you've got to adapt, because you probably lose a yard of pace. I mean, Marv, you get over 30 and everyone in football tells you your legs are gone. Oh, his legs are gone, he can't move, he can't run. And so what you have to do is adapt your game. And I think that's what Jono did. And I think that's what all of us did, because you can't, your head tells you that you can still do it, but ultimately you can't, because that's nature, that's life, that is a cycle of life. And, you know, for me, he adapted his game. I mean, you look at the amount of appearances in the Premier League, the caps he's got for England. But the best players do. Marv, did you have to adapt your game?
I mean, you're spot on, Tels, because it depends really as well what position you play. Because, like, looking at Glenn Johnson, what position he played, if he's going to adapt his game, it's not a case of him, like, being able to go maybe into a centre back. I don't know, but, like, I mean, most of the time, okay, if you're a left back stroke centre back like I was, I mean, my pace wasn't like exactly as it was when I was as a kid, but I managed to turn around and use, like you said, your experience in your head and your knowledge, like, to get your, like, speed of mind to be, this is where I need to be in this position to not get caught out, sort of thing. Because that's the experience coming into it. But most definitely, as you're aging, your legs are going to be what everyone's going to be turning around saying, look, oh, like you've just said, his legs are gone. This is gone. But I mean, when I was coming into the team, it was like the likes of Steve Foster, who was a very experienced, like, centre back, and he wasn't quick. But one thing what he had was obviously experience, his know-how, his knowledge, and that got him into positions where it didn't get him caught out. Now, if you haven't got that as an older player of the know-how and the knowledge, then you are going to have a problem of trying to fit into someone's team, because obviously if you haven't got your pace, you haven't got the know-how and the knowledge, then you are going to struggle. So you're right.
Where would you say your favourite position was, Matt? Obviously you played left back, left midfield, centre midfield. I assume you must have played a few games at centre back, filling in.
No, I didn't know.
He didn't head the ball to play centre back. He couldn't play centre back. He didn't hit the ball.
No, exactly. But can I be honest with you, Andrew? I didn't care where I played. Seriously, could not care less.
Fair enough.
Really, that is the brutal truth.
You didn't love being left midfield, so you didn't have to track. You didn't have to track back as much, or
oh no, I did have to track back. Yeah, that was my job. I had to track back.
I've never had this conversation with him, mind you, but I think Tels loved the fact that when it was the three of us, let's call it was the three of us, myself, Tels and Jean-Louis Valois, it used to be Joe used to start it off with Tels at left back, Jean-Louis Valois on the left, and then for like 20 minutes from the end, look at him laughing, 20 minutes from the end, it was a case of like, let him go. Yeah. Release him, unleash him, push him up forward, get Marv on now. And now it was like, tells us, I'm free. He's gone. That was him unleashed.
That is 60 minutes, he's done.
Yeah, get him off and unleash Tails now and get him in front. And see, and that's the point. And that's the point we're talking about there. Now, if I had a little bit more pace or a little bit more, didn't want to join in as much, but I was just, even though I don't know what age I was, but I still wanted to join in and get forward and be like with Tails and help out. If I was a bit more smarter, now I could have played for another 4 years and just thought, you know what? Until you would have left, I could have just stayed there behind you and go, Theo, Tails, have the ball, off you go.
Just feed it, yeah.
Just keep feeding you. But, you know.
Hindsight's a good thing, Marv, isn't it?
Huh? Hindsight's a good thing. It's true. Yeah. I think for me, his best position was like a left wing back or left midfield, because he just had unbelievable quality and a great left foot, which just whip balls in. I mean, just like get your head up, bang. And again, he was one of those players who learned very, very quickly, in my opinion, and was very smart, intelligent, that you didn't need to put the ball on a six-foot for someone. Tells was putting it in space for them to attack the space to obviously have an opportunity to score a goal.
Helps when we had the big man Howie up top, didn't it?
Yeah.
Seriously. True. I mean, I just used to get it, I didn't even look half the time, stick it in there. Now I just see the big man running off with his arm in the air again. Oh, he's got another one. Oh, I've got him another one. I've got him another one.
So central midfielders.
Yeah.
Either.
Yeah, I'm going for a guy that when he left Portsmouth, went to AC Milan, played for AC Milan. I'm pretty sure he's Ghanaian. Fantastic left foot. He played in the Premier League for, I would say, a maximum of 2 seasons. I would say I don't quite know that to be true or not. So if I'm wrong, I apologise. But just a proper hammer of a left foot. Could tackle, could see a pass. He was different because he was a left-sided midfielder.
Is he tall?
Fantastic engine.
Tall.
Not overly tall.
Oh.
No, not overly tall.
Okay.
Probably 5'10", 5'11". I think he's playing in the Middle East right now. Still playing. I think from what I can remember. As I say, went played for AC Milan. He's played for some big clubs, and yeah, what a guy! I don't quite know where we signed him from. Andrew, you've written something down. Have you got any idea?
I'm going to guess Montari.
Yes, Sully Montari. Yeah.
Look at you!
Yes, Andrew.
Look at you! Googling for fun. Go on.
I'm not. My phone's here. I'll put my phone here. I'll tell you what. I'll leave my phone here so you can see I'm not doing
joking.
that.
Look at him. He's bitten already. Look. I'm joking.
Yeah, Sully Montari.
Yeah.
When Harry managed to get him onto the training pitch and he turned up, and you just thought, wow, what a player he is. And that was how he played. That was how he trained every day. That was how he played. He was just next level. And safe to say, we didn't hold on to him for long. He was gone.
So do you remember, where did he come from? Where did they get him from?
I can't remember where we signed him from,
okay.
Marv, if I'm honest. But
Right.
I know that after he left Portsmouth, went straight to AC Milan. Yeah, God, yeah. I mean, just ridiculous. But so unassuming. Came in, did his work, he had a laugh and a joke, and but yeah,
Was he a tough tackler, or was he more of a flamboyant?
No, everything. He'd smash you in training, not a problem. But then he'd dink one over the goalkeeper's head the next ball. Yeah, he had everything, and he had a hammer of a left foot, a proper. It was kind of a short back lift and bang, that type of left foot. It's straight in. Wow, where's he seen that? Yeah, so he was a proper player. Yeah, he'd be my midfield general. He'd be the one that I'd say to him, like, Sully, you stay here, you sit a little bit, let the other guy beside you go on, because you're going to be left alone when you hear the next 4.
And what would he be like? Would he be happy with that, or would he be very much kind of, don't tell me what to do, I'm doing what I want, or was he very much a kind of, do you know what I mean?
I don't know whether you'd have to tell him what to do. I think after the first couple of minutes, he'd suss it out for himself and go, I'm on my own here. He was one of those players. You know, when players just get it, he got it, and everything. He was phenomenal, really. Some player.
Yeah.
And as I say, Portsmouth didn't hold on to him for long.
A couple of years in AC Milan. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously. So next to him, flamboyance. You've intimated already.
I'm going for this guy because I played with him for two clubs. Goal scoring midfielder, proper goal scoring midfielder who was never capped by England. I cannot quite get my head around that he was never capped by England. Probably the best captain I've ever played for. He was brilliant on the pitch, brilliant off the pitch. Any issues, any problems, if there was ever any problems with maybe the way the team was performing, bang, he's on it straight. We'll have a meeting. There was no issue with that. Very truthful. As I say, he was the master of the chicken celebration. Come on, that's got to give it away. He was the master of the chicken celebration when he scored.
West Ham, which clubs?
One was West Ham, yeah.
One was Bolton.
I give it, and the other one was Bolton, yeah.
I got it.
Yeah.
Andrew's got this one as well. Yeah. Yes, Marv.
Andrew.
Go on, no, Marv. Go on. I'll give you one.
Let me have this one.
Yeah.
I might be wrong actually, but I'm gonna go with Kevin Nolan.
That's right, Marv. Yeah.
That last.
Yeah,
Welcome to the game, Marv. Get in there.
Well done, Marv. We'll see if your missus can come in next door and give you a gold star. Well done, mate.
Yeah, Nobby was he was the best captain because everything was all about the lads. But on the pitch, he just delivered every single week. And if he wasn't scoring, he's assisting. Sam spoke a lot about, I don't know if you guys know what the pomo is, Marv. Do you know what that is?
Yeah, is it? Yeah, it goes at the back post, isn't it? Coming in at the,
Yeah, so it's the position of maximum opportunity. When you look at Kev's goals, a lot of Nobby's goals are second phase. So because whatever level you play at, defenders will ball watch. Right, that's it's instinct. You'll watch where the ball is. That split second you watch where the ball is, he's gone. And he'd scored so many goals like that. And probably how on earth he didn't get capped for England, I don't know. Whether it was because the fact that he was up against the golden generation, because in terms of midfielders, but his numbers, Marv, were for a midfielder. Were a joke.
Week in, week out. I know, I saw it. Nolan,
They were a
goal.
joke, Marv.
Nolan,
Yeah.
goal. And like you said,
Joke,
and
Marv.
he had this sure amount of assists as well. So,
yeah,
I mean,
he was brilliant. And in terms of a captain and a person, fantastic. He just epitomised everything at the time. As a player, so I played with him at Bolton first, and then moved down to West Ham and played with him for 3 years down there as well. And fortunate enough to get promoted at Wembley and in the Championship, and he was the skipper. And yeah, a lot was owed to him at West Ham, because I think at the time the football club was probably going the wrong way. They'd been relegated. What they needed was someone to come in the dressing room and sort of marshal that team back to the Premier League, and he was brilliant at that. Good guy.
Charles, I just want to just take you back now to, I mean, we were talking off air earlier on a little bit about it. I mean, one, was it always your ambition as a kid, like most kids, like for me it was, to become a professional football player? And two, I mean, when was the time when you first thought, you know what, I want to be a footballer, or you've had a little taste of something, I want to play at the top level?
To answer your first question, did I want to be a footballer? No. From the age of, up to the age of 14, yes. From the age of 14 to 16, no. Because at 14, I got released at Oxford. So we didn't have a goalkeeper at the time. I was playing left back. It was back in the day, it was the School of Excellence. And I played in goal for 6 or 7 weeks. And all I used to do was save the ball going in, because my left foot was decent. I suppose before our times, I'd play out from the back and see a pass. And it came to the end of the season when all the boys get renewed. I mean, I played in the same team as Sam Ricketts and Dean Whitehead. Both of them went on to play in the Premier League and have stellar careers. And those two, for argument's sake, they got taken on for their under 15 year. I got released. They said to me they'd keep me on and offer me a YTS as a goalie now at the age of 14. But they wouldn't keep me on because I was overweight and a bit chubby. So to say I told them where to stick it would be an understatement with my dad. I said, there's no way I'm ever going in goal. I said, I've got too much energy for that, Marv. I mean, could you imagine me in goal? I got too much energy. So all I did was I went back, and it made me fall out of love with the professional side of the game, 100%. I dealt with the disappointment. It wasn't a problem with the disappointment. I dealt with that with just going to play football with mates. So you play for the district teams and the school representative teams and stuff like that. But in terms of my professional dream, as far as I was concerned, that was done. So Back to school, work hard, do this, make sure I did all my GCSEs. I did all my GCSEs, Marv, and the Luton thing came about because I played in a representative game for, it was the Selex Copiers League at the time in Oxfordshire, which is where I'm from, right? And it was an under 16 rep game. I got called up to it, as one of the players from the league. That I went and played the game. There happened to be a Luton scout there. That is it. And I got invited down to the rugby club. They got hold of my dad after the game, invited me down to the rugby club and said, come on trial. Lowy was down there.
Yeah.
So Lowy's down there. 45 boys turned up. 2 11v11 games, right? What footed are you, Matt? Where do you play? I play central midfield. I said, no, you don't. You're left footed. You play left back. I was like, okay, no worries. And I went and played 2 games in that, played left back. And they picked 2 kids out of that, and I happened to be one of them, to go back in and train for, it would have been, my GCSE results had come out, so this would have been pre-season-ish time. I went back in for a week. Remember, they did, do you remember doing your signing, Marv, when you sign a white in, and all the parents are there, and you all go up to the front in that lounge. I don't know what it was called at Kenilworth Road, but you went up to the lounge at the front, you sit at the table and sign it. Well, they hadn't offered me a contract, but they asked me to come along. And I think about it now, and I think most people would have kind of gone, you taking the Michael here, I'm not going. And I went along with mum and dad. All these kids are getting given their 2 pairs of boots, their studs and their moles and a pair of trainers. There's me sat at the back, just watching them all thinking, right, what's going on here? But if anything, that made me hungrier. It did, it's crazy. Made me hungrier, and then probably 3 or 4 weeks later, I signed a YT.
And you're what age at this time? You're now, what, 16?
I was 16 at this time, 16. Yeah.
And so at no point had another scout maybe from Oxford maybe seen you and thought, let's invite this kid down. Who is he?
Nope.
No, that would have been classic.
No,
that would have been brilliant if someone would have seen you and said, let's invite him down. Who is it? Oh, it's Mac. No, not Mac.
No one at Luton was it, Marv. It was that or bust. I had nothing else. And to be honest, I'd already chosen to do my A-levels at school. I was going to do my A-levels. I knew what I wanted to do. I knew the direction I wanted to go in. I was going to go to uni. I was going to do all of that. And then the opportunity came around with Luton, and I said to them, I remember sitting with mum and dad and saying, they've offered me the YTS, what do you think I should do? And I remember my dad saying to me, look, mate, it's 2 years, right? If it doesn't work, go back and do your A-levels. It's not a problem, but give it a go. So that was what I did, and the rest is history.
But within a year.
And do you know what the best thing about my do you know
what
the best thing about my YTS was, Marv?
Go on.
I now qualify for a BTEC in leisure and tourism, mate. That's the best thing about my scholarship.
You're going to become a travel agent. So if it doesn't work out at Tottenham, you can be a travel agent.
The best thing. And do you know what the other thing is, Marv? The second year I never went to the course because Lennie always wanted me to train on a Thursday with all the first team. So in the end, the tutor ended up doing it for me anyway. So I got a distinction, I think. But fortunately, to this point, I haven't needed that qualification.
Where is that certificate now?
Oh,
I
couldn't tell you.
I was wondering if you were going to go actually and just turn the camera around.
No, no, it's not in here. No, yeah, I don't know where it is. I would say it's probably at mum and dad's house somewhere.
Fantastic. So we'll move on to attacking midfielders or hold number 10s, couple of number 10s.
Yeah, I've got 2 number 10s. This guy I played with at West Ham, won the Premier League with Chelsea, played for Liverpool again, England international. Probably I played with him under 21 football as well, but I wouldn't count that as really playing with him. The few caps that I got, he was involved in a couple of camps, but then was with the first team. He was one of the golden generation, over 50 caps for England. What a guy, what a man. Humble. In terms of his playing style, he was jinky. He could play inside. He could play out on the wing. When he was younger, he played out on the wing. He'd come inside, score loads of goals. I have a vivid memory of his time at Chelsea where he used to wear a sweatband. Proper player.
And you played with him where?
I played with him at West Ham.
Yeah.
So if I told you where he started, you got him, Marv, yeah?
Yeah.
Come on, then, Marv. Who is it? Let's look at that smile on your face.
Look at Andy's face. No, I want to. Andy's face looks like he hasn't got a Scooby-Doo. I want to relish in this. Go on, Andrew. Have a guess, Andrew.
Oh. Hold on. Right. West Ham. It's the Liverpool. Yeah, Liverpool keeps throwing me every
Liverpool
time.
Thing. Yeah, it would throw you, the Liverpool thing, yeah.
Shut up. He played for Liverpool after he played for Chelsea.
No.
Nah.
It's getting dark here. Can we? Shall I say it?
It's already dark here, Marv.
Go on, Marv.
Joe Cole?
Right, Marvin, yeah.
I forgot he played for Liverpool.
Yeah, Joe Cole. He came to West Ham. So he came to West Ham from Liverpool. He obviously started his career at West Ham, and did full circle. But do you know what? So Coley at the time was at a stage in his career probably where his body was not it wasn't breaking down on him, but he didn't adapt well enough. And by that, what I mean is the enthusiasm this man used to show every single day was as if he was 17, Marv. It was a joy to watch. No, seriously, he would come out on the training pitch buzzing, smile on his face, so happy. I used to love watching him and thinking he loves football. So forget everything else that he's achieved in the game. And by that point, there wasn't much he hadn't achieved, by the way, right? He'd achieved everything he possibly could, but his attitude every day and just the smile on his face and the joy and the banter you could have with him and a laugh, just a normal fella, even though, you know, he was somebody that I was used to watching on the TV when England played and when the biggest games in the Champions League were on and the biggest games in the Premier League. But it was just brilliant. His enthusiasm for football was infectious. And it didn't sort of hurt that he was some player as well, wasn't he, by the way?
Oh, top player.
Some
Top
player.
Is he involved? Yeah. I mean, I used to see him on doing some commentary stuff and bits and pieces, but is he involved anywhere, like coaching wise?
He does some commentary. I think he does some commentary. Back in, it would have been 8 years ago now, I did a B license with him. I think Coley's doing something at Chelsea's academy. I think he lives that way, so he's helping with bits and bobs there. But he does quite a bit on the punditry side and the media side in this country here.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic player. Player. And what was he like? Coming back, did he help with the youngsters? Obviously going full circle, almost with West Ham. Did it help, as you say, watching the boots? And obviously nowadays, I don't think they clean the boots anymore, but that type of thing, did that help?
Yeah, he was just a normal guy. You know, he'd speak to anybody, any of the young kids or any of the lads that needed a conversation or, you know, whatever you needed. Coley was just a really good teammate. It doesn't say forget, because I think from the outside looking in, you see these guys as sort of superstars, which is what they are. But then you forget, and when you're in dressing rooms with people, you just start looking at them as normal people. And Coley was just a normal fella who happened to have an immense talent at playing football. But yeah, he was that is my overriding memory from Joe, was just his absolute enthusiasm for football and his hunger. I remember Sam Aftons telling him, Coley, slow down, Coley, because he was just full hell for leather every single day. He was brilliant, though.
Oh, fantastic player. Fantastic player. Next one.
Yeah, the next one. So whenever I get asked a question, who's the best player I ever played with, I say him. Say this man here, because I probably played with people that had better ability, right? More speed, more pace, more power. But this man here, at the time when I left Luton, and we'd done really well. We got promoted from what is the equivalent now of League Two. I think we were runners up to Plymouth, weren't we? Is that right, Mark?
Yeah.
So we were runners up to Plymouth, and then the whole move came about me getting the opportunity to go and play at Portsmouth. And Harry, when he mentioned this fella's name and he said, I'm looking to sign him, I said, yeah, good one. Like, you're going to get him to come and play in the Championship. He's like, no, we'll get him. We're going to get him, Matt. We're going to build the team around him. We're going to build the team around players, young players like you. Okay. Just to give you a bit of context, he never warmed up.
I think I got it.
Yeah, he would sit in the corner of the changing room, Marv. So we'd turn up in an away game, right? We'd come down for pre-match, do all your pre-match. You'd get off the coach and go and sit in the dressing room. Gaffer would name the team, so Harry would name the team, and he'd sit in the corner, cup of tea, racing post with the gaffer. Didn't warm up. Literally did not warm up. So come back in, the boys are all sweating and everything, obviously, aren't they? They've had a good blast and a good blow. Still be sat there, and it'd get to about 5-3. Captain, by the way, he's captain, get to 5-3. He's brilliant. He'd pull his socks up, put his boots on, go out and be the best player every week. And he used to just say to me, Tails, run, and I'll find your son. So what? Tails, run, and I will find you. And the outside of his right foot used to find me near enough every single game. Please tell me you know it is, Marv.
No.
I've got one. I've got that. I think I've got it.
I'll be honest. When you said he's English, yeah. it threw me.
He is English, yeah.
I'm going to make a real punt here.
Yes, I have got it now. I have got it now. I have got it. I have got it. Sorry.
Go on then, Marv.
I was going to say Paul Merson.
Yeah.
That's right, Marvin. Yeah.
Yes. I was thinking Carnu as well. I don't know why, but I thought maybe it
Oh,
could be
no. You can't call him Carnu. We have to call him the King because that was all we ever called Carnu. We never called him Carnu. We called him the King. No, seriously, Marv, we never called him Carnu. We called him the King. He was that good. But
really,
the world's biggest feet in football, didn't he, Carnu? Didn't he have humongous feet?
Yeah, he had big feet, but his touch was a joke.
It was
the King.
Well,
Sorry,
going back to Merson.
The person you named, yeah.
I played against. I played against Merson in the youth team in the Youth Cup when he's at Arsenal. So we are the similar age, and he was a talent then. So and he went on obviously to have a much like fantastic career than I'd ever had. But he was at Arsenal as a kid. But like even from that age of 17 and 16, I knew then that he was a player. Without a doubt.
Yeah, he just used to say, Marv. He just said to me, "Tails, run." Seriously, that was it. Nothing more. I'd like to tell you that, but he played as a 10. Harry played him in as a 10. So, but he just used to. I remember some of the passes, and it was the no look outside of his right boot, and he used to curl round, and then all of a sudden it'd end at me. Never, in terms of his leadership, he did his leadership by the way he played. You play for some people on the pitch and their leadership skills are they'll bark at you, they'll shout at you because it helps them as well. Merce didn't need that. He'd just show you what to do. Did he train well every day? Probably not. But he was at a stage in his life probably where football had pretty much achieved everything. And I think that Harry, in terms of his management of him, was genius. Because was Paul desperate to play football? I don't know, but Harry just gave him that enjoyment back and let him just go and play and express himself, and he expressed himself. I remember the last game of the season, I think it was Bradford away, and the boys all wore white boots. So we had Gianluca Festa played centre half, and he owned a company called A-Line. Do you ever remember those boots called from A-Line? Mark, that was his company, and this was before white boots and sort of any multicoloured boots were anything to go by. And all the boys, I was injured, but I went up to see the game, and all the boys wore these white A-line boots. You'd never seen, never heard of. I won 6-0. And Merce is dinking over, and just think, oh my God, look at him. But yeah, he was a joy to play with. He made my life so easy. I played left wing back. Tails. When he runs past you that way, you run with him. But then he runs back that way, you run with him. But then you've got to run past him that way, and Paul's going to find you with the ball. So, okay, Gaff. All right, Gaffer. Cheers. So basically, you just want me to go up and down. Yeah, he went, yeah. And then when you get in there, Tails, put it in. Okay, no problems, thanks. It was easy for me, though. It was very easy. I had good players around me.
What's he? I mean, you see him on TV now. He does a lot of punditry. You get it over here in Australia, and you can still hear him. Was he knowledgeable about football then? I know you said that he guided you and told you to do this simple thing, but did you think he'd be a manager, or do you think he's much more of a pundit?
I don't know, really. It's difficult to kind of gauge that, isn't it? But what I would say now is that I sit and watch him, and I'll sit and listen to what he says, and I think that we as football fans can resonate with a lot of what he says. I think the fact that he has done it for such a long period of time, he's one of the mainstays now when you look at any football really on a Saturday afternoon on Sky. I think he's done really well for himself, and to see him on there, he always looks as if he's having a laugh and having a joke, but a lot of the stuff that he says is actually on point in terms of the technical detail. So yeah, I really enjoy Soccer Saturday with him. They all seem to have a laugh.
And I know, you know what I like about him, Tails? I mean, I don't know him personally. Obviously, I mean, I feel when I'm watching him, right, and I'm seeing him talk and speak, he's acting like himself. He's being real. Whereas you get some ex-players go on, and you see him on TV and they're talking, and you can just tell by the way they're reacting. They're like thinking about that question. I need to answer it this way. You can see. But with Merton, it's like he's just being him. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. No, totally, Marv. What you see with him is 100% genuine, and that's, I think, why the public love him so much and Sky do. So
Yeah,
hopefully not continue.
And obviously, in the 90s, in the late 90s, he went through a hell of a lot of difficulties in his own personal life. Did he? We're not here for you to divulge some of those things. I'm sure they're personal, and he might have spoken about them. But did he go into any of those things as lessons for younger players coming through?
No, he didn't. No, never spoke about anything. So we were, I suppose, oblivious to a lot of the stuff that might have happened in his life. But no, what's wonderful to see that he's turned everything around and he looks healthy and happy now. So, but from that point of view, no, Merce was, a really good teammate in terms of what he did on the training pitch and on the pitch.
But he moved on from that part of his life, by the sound of it, and he wanted to leave it in the past.
Yeah,
fair enough.
It takes a lot of strength.
This is going to be interesting now. This number one striker, this lone striker is going to be. This is very interesting.
Number 9 on his own, Marvin. No, not really.
I've ummed and ahed about this, right? So I played with some really good strikers, right? I was fortunate enough to play with big Andy Carroll. Andy is, if you're going to play one up front, he could be, your focal point. He used to occupy 3 or 4 defenders every time the ball went up to him, and he's still doing it now. Played with different types of strikers. I mean, Benjani at Portsmouth, he struggled when he first came in terms of scoring, and then he couldn't stop scoring.
Yeah.
And then
he got the big money move to Man City, didn't he?
Yeah. Again, brilliant. But I could have picked Teddy Sheringham. Teddy. When I played with Ted was again fantastic, phenomenal footballer. Could have picked up. I was fortunate enough to play with Andy Cole. I think if I'd have played, obviously, with Coley in the pomp of his career, then 100% he'd have been in my team. But I went for somebody that I played with at Portsmouth. He didn't really run, Marv, right? He wasn't the hardest working centre forward that I played with, but he was the calmest. And the goals he scored, some of them.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, some of the goals he scored, but he never went in the gym, but he was built like, I don't know, without swearing, he was built, he was huge, but he never went in the gym. And that's not a fabrication, that is the gospel truth. He did not go in the gym. And
I'm thinking, I had it in my head straight away, right? I'm thinking, is Tails too young to have played with him though? But anyway, I could be wrong.
I don't know.
Go on.
In terms of international football, he's African. He used to play obviously a lot of international football. He's one of the nicest men you want to meet. I met him about 6 months ago. No, it would have been just before this pandemic at a game. Couldn't believe I'd seen him. Played up at Middlesbrough, played for Portsmouth,
Andrew, you got it?
Played at Everton.
I can't believe how you played with him. I got it straight away.
Yeah, played in the Middle East. I think it might have even played in maybe Turkey, something like that. Just so calm. Nothing fazed him ever. And his penalties, Andrew? I mean, just come on, Andrew. He used to walk to his.
Get
penalties.
Off my back, Andrew. Come on now. I'm flying now. I'm on.
I'm thinking. He played for
Andrew, right? Andrew,
I've got
one. He used to walk for his penalties, and he'd wait for the goalkeeper to move, and then pass it in the slowest you've ever seen it, and then just jog off as if nothing had happened and put his arm in the air. Come on, Andrew.
Oh.
You call yourself a podcaster?
Don't throw that at me.
See, this is what I'm talking. Tails. See, this is what I'm talking about.
This is what you're dealing with, Mark.
It come out the traps, right? It come out the trap like a greyhound, right? But he's forgetting to finish the race. He's forgetting to go to the line, and now, bang, bang. No, it's getting dark.
No, go on.
Yakubu.
The yak. Yeah, the yak. He just a goal scorer, Marv, an out goal scorer. He came alive in the box and just he never called me Tails, he used to call me Matty. Just say to me, Matty, put the ball in the box, I'll be in there. I was all right, Yak. Yak. Never called him Yakubu, always Yak. Yes, Yak. I remember him scoring a couple of goals, and there was about 3 or 4 of us on his back, and he's still going. We've all jumped on top of him, and he's still going. He's just going. And you're like, well, okay. But
And
yeah,
he-
what?
And he never went in the gym whatsoever.
No,
Never.
Marvin. No, Marvin. But when you had the natural attributes that he had, so first and foremost, he was one of the calmest players I've ever played with, by the way. Nothing fazed him. If he missed, it doesn't matter. Next one. If he scored, it doesn't matter. Next one. Nothing fazed him, Marv. Ever. She used to, we get a penalty and I wouldn't even have the slightest inkling of, he's going to miss it. I'd know it's a goal. Because all he'd do is he'd walk so slowly and just wait for the goalkeeper to walk one way and then just literally roll it along the floor the other way. He was phenomenal talent. But again, I'd like to say that all 11 players in my team are good people. A really good guy as well, mate. But yeah, I saw him probably, it'll be about a year ago now. And he had a similar reaction to you. Bloody hell, Matty. Nothing's changed. I said to him, yeah, but Marvin, you had a hard paper round, Yak, so I was all right.
He's a great player, fantastic player. I can't believe. Sorry,
Great goal scorer. No, and he was at Everton as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, Everton, Middlesbrough.
Everton. Yeah.
Played.
I
saw
for him
a tweet the other day. Somebody had taken a photo of him, and he was.
Yeah, it was an Amazon delivery, wasn't it, or something?
That was it. Yeah, I saw it on
yeah.
Twitter. Yeah, it was quite a funny tweet, and he was just sticking his thumbs up, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Really nice. Just seemed like a really normal guy.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
So you're gonna now have to choose a manager to oversee this team. And
You didn't tell me that, did you, Marv?
did I not do that? Oh, I apologise.
No, I'm only joking. There's only you're not trying to guess this one as well, are you?
No. Well, we would have done, but I think I know it. Yeah, it's going to be easy. I mean, of all those characters you've got in there, I think it is going to be easy.
Do you know what?
I reckon it's down to 2. I reckon it'd be 1 or 2, actually.
Well, go on then. Tell me who you think it is.
I reckon it's either Harry Redknapp or Sam Allardyce. I can't work out which one it'll be. Oh, really?
No. Do you know who it's going to be? It's Lennie. Marv.
Lennie.
Because Lennie gave me my debut. Lennie taught me alongside John so much about football. And if it wasn't for John and being in that volleys gym, Marv, right, every day.
That's come up so much.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. It's come up so much in the podcast, the volleys gym.
If it wasn't for John and Lennie being in that volleys gym, because you don't know it with that little, the disused goal, right, the net, and a little bit of AstroTurf, but the ball and the wall stuff, and the ball on the wall, and the volleys and the touch. If it wasn't for that, and you didn't know, we came out of there, we trained, we did our jobs, made sure everything was done. We used to go in there as a YT, and Lennie and John would come in there, and from 2 o'clock till 5 o'clock every day, Marv. And the little light used to go in there and turn on. You'd go in the winter, and obviously you go in at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and it's light. You'd come out and it's pitch black, and you got to go across the pitch and up and down and everything like that. It was, Lennie for me, because he showed the faith in me. He probably didn't have a huge amount of choice at the time, Marv, because of the constraints that the club were in terms of money. Mitchell had left, hadn't he? Mitchell was playing on the left, and then I got the opportunity to go and play. But yeah, Lennie. And do you know how it all came about, Marv? Me going getting in the first team. Do you know how it came about?
I'm not sure. Go on.
Do you remember that Kelvin used to have a goalkeeping coach come up once or twice a week with him? Do you ever remember?
Kelvin?
So he was a guy.
Did he?
Yeah.
Did
So
he?
Kelvin had a goalkeeping coach. Right? I was a first year. Right. He come in, knocked on the door. You know our little dressing room we had, which was at the top of the tunnel, opposite the tunnel, right? Knocked on there and he went, "Any of you little left-footed?" I went, "Yeah." He went, "Right, you'll come with me." And this was before training. So he said, right? So he said, get in the car. So he took me up to the rugby club with him because we obviously actually trained at the stadium, didn't we?
Yeah.
So I went and told Lowy, look, obviously he's asked me to, yeah, that's fine, Tails, do whatever. He's a first team player. And that was because he wanted someone who was left footed to take shots at him, right, from the youth team. And I said, yeah, I put my hand up, yeah, I'm left footed, Kel. Went, great, come with me then. And I'd do that before we trained. So every time he had a goalkeeping coaching, I'd go and do the shooting practice with him. And then and then they needed somebody. You had somebody who had dropped out, who was left footed in a possession or something like that up at the rugby club. And I got the nod because I was left footed, and Kelvin had told the gaffer that I was left footed. Yeah, take him for his left foot. Yeah. That was the only way it came about. That was why I ended up training as a first year.
That was it.
That was it. That's why I ended up training as a first year. And that was probably 2.5, 3 months after I'd signed as a 16-year-old. And that was it.
And that was
mad,
it.
Isn't it?
But it is. But obviously, you're in the industry now of developing players. But it was an opportunity. But you took it, Matthew. You got an opportunity and you took it. This is what I love. I mean, like, it's not like you get so many, like, I mean, I don't know what it's like over there for you, but I mean, over here, it's like, oh, we don't get an opportunity. Oh, you don't get a chance. I mean, you would always get an opportunity, in my opinion, right? But I don't think some of these kids see it. I don't think they realize it. And I always say I know I coach girls, but I always say to the girls, listen, make sure you conduct yourselves, warm up and everything. Listen, because you never know who's watching. You just don't know who's watching.
Totally agree. I think the thing for me is that, and we've done a few studies on it at work. If I asked you when at 16, 17, whatever age, when you're getting an opportunity, you wouldn't know, would you? So I think the main thing is being ready. So we never know when the opportunity is going to arise. I didn't know that the opportunity would arise at that point. But what you can't do is you can't come off it for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, because then when the opportunity does come, and because the way football is and elite sport is and the ruthlessness is, you're only going to get probably one chance, max 2 or 3. So what you've got to do is be ready for that one chance. And I think that in itself is probably, Marv, one of the biggest things now in terms of the resilience maybe we had, because we grew up in a different world. Now that's not suggesting that kids now, because they're different to us, or maybe that they're, because of the way they've been conditioned, it's not their fault because of the world that they're in. The world they're brought up in now is different to the world that we were brought up in. You know, there are different values that formulate what life is. We're in the digital age. We have access to everything. So at 16, I didn't know what the equivalent 16-year-old when I was 16 was doing in Manchester. I didn't know what trainers they wore. I wasn't aware of what social media accounts they followed and what interests they had. So I was more tunnel visioned, I suppose, whereas now kids have got much broader knowledge because they have much more sort of access to everything, don't they? Have much more access to information.
Oh, definitely. 100%.
But going back to your question, Marv, for me, it 100% has to be that no one will know when your opportunity is coming. What you got to do is make sure that you're ready for when it does come, because when it comes, it will probably go just as quick. And that's probably a message that we talk about a lot, is that just make sure every day you continue to train hard, you continue to make sure you do everything right. So when that opportunity does arise, you're not having to flick a switch, because it won't happen, and you won't get where you want to get to if you don't formulate the correct habits. It's quite simple.
That's true. We're going to move on to obviously what you're doing now, but like just before we do that, and I mean, I don't know which game it could be, but I mean, the question what we asked is, what is your most memorable Luton game and why?
God, you put me on the spot here, Marv. My most memorable Luton game.
Yeah, and why? It could be
could
be anything.
No, it would either be the first game that I played, which was away to Notts County at Meadow Lane, which was obviously my debut, or the last game I played, which I think, I can't remember where that was actually, my last appearance. Might have been one, for some reason I'm thinking Shrewsbury, don't know. at the old Shrewsbury ground. I don't know why I'm thinking that. Or it might have been Swansea away or something like that. But if I was being honest, it probably would be my first premiere of my first professional appearance. Because
did you know leading up to the week you could be playing, or was it a case of like, well, I'm in the squad and I've not been told?
I knew that Lennie fancied me because I'd done well and scored goals in pre-season, and I'd probably exceeded my expectations and probably overachieved, Marv, to be honest. But I was playing with no fear because I didn't have any fear because I had no expectation of what it was going to be like. So it didn't really matter, because if I failed, well, it didn't really matter, Marv, because everyone expected I was going to fail anyway, because I was a young kid that had only just come into the building. So, yeah, pre-season, I remember playing and that being a massive wake-up call to me. But where Lennie was, so good, in terms of that first game, he went to me. Well, I think he took me off after about 80 minutes. And I remember him saying to me, "Well done, son. That's your first one under your belt. You won't be playing that, regularly now." I played 46 games that season, Marv, and started every league game. But he was brilliant, right? And I remember it was sort of it was sort of that kind of reverse psychology one. And then he made sure that even though I was playing in the first team, that I still got changed with the YTs and I still cleaned the boots. I was cleaning players' boots who were in the reserves, Marv, and in the away team dressing room, and Lennie made me do it. I wasn't allowed, Marvin, in your changing room to get changed. Lennie made me stay in the other changing room, and I'm playing every week for the first team. He's like, no, you haven't earned it yet. Right? I remember it. I don't know if this happened to you. Do you ever remember you getting offered your first contract?
Yeah, I can remember it. I can remember it like it was yesterday with David Pleat. I mean, I don't know if yours was the same, but like, I mean, I've walked into the office and it's a case of, well, I mean, again, I wasn't sure if I was going to get a pro or not. You know what I mean? I could have been told I could have been released. So I've walked in and he's gone, sit down. You've done really, really well, and we would like to offer you. And then once he had said that, Tails, that was all I heard. And now
he could have
literally he went. No, but he did go. He went for the contract and he said, "We're going to offer you this." But I couldn't tell you what that figure was. It could have been 1p or 5p. I was just happy. I was signing it. It doesn't matter. I was like, yes, sort of thing. So the money didn't matter to me. It wasn't about the money. It was about, we're going to give you a professional contract. I couldn't remember anything else after that. No,
mine was similar. I walked in, it was just Lennie in there. "All right, son." And Len he'd sat behind his desk and, "All right, son." At this point, I was just coming up. I just 17, so it was just before my 17th birthday. And he went, "You've been doing," and I trained a couple of times with you guys. This was the Kelvin thing where it happened.
Right.
"I want to offer you a professional contract, son." "Okay, all right, Gaffer." He went, "Yeah, there's no negotiation." I went, "All right, no worries." On a piece of Luton Town headed paper. I swear to you, my mum and dad have got it in the loft still, in an envelope. It is in the loft. I've got it. I've got the piece of paper that was written on there. Yeah, what the offer was. It's non-negotiable, son. It's non-negotiable. That's fine. That's fine, Gaffer. The figures, I think it's about 170 quid a week. It was nothing, right? And he went, "This is what you sign." I went, okay. And as I'm walking out the door, and he went, "You speak to your parents?" "Yeah." Said, "But are you going to sign it?" I said, yeah, of course I am. I'm buzzing. As I'm walking out the door, he hit me with, "But if you sign this, you've got to pay for your own digs now, son." So it ended up, I didn't end up saving any money because I was paying a tenner a night in the dig. The club weren't paying for it. Yeah, but it was okay because I was a professional. Yeah. "No negotiating, son. This is what you sign." I was like, "Okay, Gaffer, no worries." Didn't even think to kind of go, "Nah, I'm not signing that." There was never, it was just right, okay, this is the contract, I'm doing it. Yeah.
Of course.
So no, brilliant.
Excellent. So Lennie gets in there.
Yeah.
Yes. So you're currently under 18s coaching, managing at Tottenham. You were speaking earlier about you took your B license as well. So obviously that's what you're doing at the moment. Where do you see yourself going as well?
It goes back to the conversation we've just been having about being a player. Because so I think the thing for me is that, so I've been in this role, I retired 21 months ago, and So I retired in 2019 in May. I'd had enough of playing. The joy had gone. I was done. I'd had a hell of a good go at it, achieved, and far more than I ever thought I would, right? So, but from about the age of 30, I decided I wanted to start my coaching badges, purely and simply because I wanted to have a plan for when I finished playing, because I'd seen so many players that I'd played with that had come up to the point of retirement and kind of gone, oh, wow, what am I going to do now? So it's irrelevant how well you've done financially out of the game for anyone, in my opinion, because what you need to do is have a purpose every day when you finish. Because Marv will tell you this, right? You retire where you go from, this is what you should eat, this is what you should drink, this is what time you should go to bed, this is what time you should wake up, this is what time you've got to be here. The bus is put on for you. In a lot of ways, it's similar to an army routine, whereas it's very regimented. And then you go from waking up one morning going, all right, I'm done now. So what, I can have a glass of wine tonight if I want one. Or what, I can eat a burger, I can go to McDonald's. You go, so that whole process, I was really fortunate that I retired. I'd finished all my coaching badges, I'd done my pro license, I'd got it all done when I was playing, because I wanted to be in a position that if I did get offered a job, I could take it. And fortunately for me, the role became available at Tottenham, and I'm a boyhood Tottenham fan as well. So it was one where I was really sort of happy to go into. However, very naively, as per usual, I jump in head first. Probably thought I knew far more about football than I actually did, and the last 18 to 20 months have been an unbelievably enriching experience for me in terms of my knowledge of football and my development, and working with players on a daily basis and seeing sort of young men, mature young men, become better people, become better on a football pitch. And I think that in itself, and Marv will tell you this from working with younger players, it's just so fulfilling to see these young people turn into young men and start to understand football better, but first and foremost really kind of take a lot more on board sort of pastorally with them and chat, having those conversations and helping them out. So yeah, that's pretty much sums it up. The only problem is I think I'm addicted. I absolutely love it. It's brilliant.
You're addicted to that. I mean, I've got a really interesting question. Well, I think it's an interesting question. You're at one of the top clubs, obviously in the Premiership, working with the elite ones, and now probably 18. If there's going to be any chance of them looking to progress Tottenham, they're going to be knocking on the door realistically now as an 18-year-old, 17, 18-year-old, which obviously there was one, I'm trying to think of his name now, scored in the cup. I mean, what was his name? The one who scored in the cup came on a sub. You brought him from
young boy.
Wigan, from Wigan. I mean, someone like that.
Playing that game again.
No, I'll get his name in a minute, but I wanted to move on with the question. But anyway, you came up through the ranks. I know it was Luton, right? But in my opinion, I'm just going on my opinion now on how the game's changed so much. Some of these kids I hear talking about, I feel that they're entitled and they're better than what they are, and they've not done nothing. They've not even played a single game. How have you found working, like I said, at a top club like that and having to deal with, maybe, I'm not saying there is players like at your club, but deal with players?
No, we haven't. So from a personal point of view, I haven't seen that, but I don't liken that to football, Marv. I liken that to the way kids are nowadays.
True.
Because I've got 3 kids, Marv, and it's partly my fault that they're the way they are, and I accept full responsibility for it, because part of what you want to do is you want to give your kids everything you can do, right? And then there becomes that sense of entitlement. And I talk about my kids because I think it's easier to do it that way. That they want sort of, if my daughter texts me, she wants to reply straight away. Like, listen, I'm at work, or I'm doing this, or I'm doing that. She said, no, but Dad, then she'll phone me. So I think that the entitlement is partly to blame from us as parents, right? And that's why I talk about my kids, because I give them far more than I ever had. And that is my fault. And I get that. And it's difficult not to do it. But then I suppose it's trying to keep them on the straight and narrow. In terms of at work, no, I don't see that. So I can't comment on that from that perspective. But from my perspective of being a parent, yeah, my kids are far more entitled than I ever was. Yeah, but is that maybe the world is now the way the world is?
But Dales, that's no different. I think Andrew's a parent. I think that's the. I mean, it doesn't matter what industry you're in. My parents did the best for me and gave me as much as they could give what they didn't have, and I'm exactly the same with my kids. And I think it's like you just spoke about it there now. I mean, I'm sure I don't know, Andrew. I mean, you mean growing up and being a Luton lad. I mean, you felt that your parents, I'm guessing, gave you everything they could give you, which was what they didn't have, and you're probably doing the same thing with your kids
my
now.
kids are getting much more than I ever did. We said to me and my wife said the other day, we said, you're spoiled. Do you realise how, like they said, I went to the carnival yesterday and the next day we want to go again. Well, no. Just things like that. So you're right, mate, in terms of and this is a 7-year-old. So it is a little bit of that and that culture. And because I work as a teacher, I definitely see it all day, every day in high school. And that's what I see. They've changed. We liken it to called the on-demand generation. They don't have to wait. When was the last time I had to wait for anything?
No, and that's the modern technology side of it, isn't it? And that we can't do anything about that. That's just unfortunately the way that the world has gone for them. I mean, the other thing is, look at it from their point of view, though, Marv. It must be difficult for kids as well.
Of course.
So I know we look at it from our point of view because we didn't go through it. But in terms of the things that kids have to deal with now that we didn't have to deal with, and how simple our lives were, and when you went home from school, that was it. Like, you weren't contactable. You literally dumped your school bag, and you said to your mum, "Right, mum, I'll be back in for dinner. I'll be back in for tea," and you went to play football. Right? Life was so much more simple back then.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's tough for them. I'm not making excuses for children and for young adults now, but
going back to what you said, I'm not having a dig at her. I mean, this is my daughter and I love her to bits. I remember being like speaking to one of my first wife at the time when I was married, and said, "Oh, let's go away on holiday, but let's go to France but let's go let's drive and we'll stay in the hotels or whatever on the way," that sort of trip. And so growing up for me, Tails, my parents, we never went anywhere on an airplane. We didn't fly. We couldn't afford it, and like it was just like
we went to Cornwall.
Cornwall, that's where we used to go.
Yeah,
and so
we went.
Up until then, we used to go to Spain or fly to wherever, just like nowhere flashy, but just like somewhere sunny and warm. So I said to I think my daughter at the time, you'll hate me talking about this if she listens to this, I think she must have been about 6 or 7 or whatever, and I said, "Oh, we're going to go on holiday," and so we're driving now, and we're stopping at a couple of places en route. And she goes, Dad, when are we going to the airplane? I went, "What do you mean?" I said, "We're driving there." She went, "We're driving where?" I said, we're going on holiday." She goes, "No, it's not a holiday because we're not going on an airplane." So she associated going on holiday with an airplane, and I didn't fly anywhere else. I mean, just in that in itself, to me, is we're not. This is not holiday because we didn't fly.
No, I know.
You are right, mate. So, what we'd like to finish off with is give you an opportunity to pass a message on to any fans who are listening, particularly during these tough times. I know I'm very privileged over here in Australia with the way we manage COVID compared to, say, Marvin yourself. But is there anything you want to pass on to any fans of any of the clubs you worked for or played for, or anything like that?
I think the key message would be, first and foremost, to just say thank you to everybody that supported me throughout my career, and I would like to say that everybody that ever watched me play, or everybody that was ever a fan of a team that I played for, would never and could never question my commitment to that team's cause. And I think that was something that was really important to me, because as a football fan, you can forgive mistakes, you can forgive a misplaced pass. I think the biggest thing that sometimes when I watch football now, at whatever level, to see players not giving it 100%, I think is something that isn't acceptable. So what I would say is at these times, I just hope that everybody is staying safe and being sensible. Obviously in the UK, we're starting a vaccination process as they are hopefully in America and Australia, and starting to try and get all of the COVID and this pandemic under control so that we can get back to normal life. But the biggest thing that I would say is that I do appreciate and understand just how lucky I am at the moment, and my colleagues are in football, to still be able to go to work, because we understand that a lot of people's lives have been destroyed by this pandemic, and people have lost their livelihoods, and ultimately lots of people in the world have made the ultimate sacrifice, and that's losing their life. So we know how dangerous it is, and I think from my point of view, to be able to go to work every day to do what I love, I feel extremely fortunate. So you know, I hope everybody stays safe all around the world, and we can sort of try and beat this together, because I think that's the only way we're all going to do it. I don't see it being one country doing one thing and another doing another. I think that we all need to stick together, and hopefully this brings together some sense of humanity to us all, and maybe makes the world a slightly nicer, better place to live. So that would be my message.
No, thank you.
Excellent.
All right, so
Okay,
that was Matty Taylor's My Best 11. Thank you so much, Matty.